Smith issues blistering takedown of WNBA coach Cheryl Reeve over pro-trans shirt. Putting yourself before the whole league. Smith has ripped into WNBA coach Cheryl Reeve in a scathing monologue after she wore a pro-trans t-shirt against Sophie Cunningham's Indiana Fever. On Sunday afternoon, Minnesota Lynx head coach Reeve sparked uproar after appearing on the sidelines with a Trans Kids Belong shirt as her team took on the Fever, with outspoken star Cunningham lining up for the opposition. Cunningham has been at the center of a bitter trans debate in recent weeks after comments she made to ESPN claiming that young girls shouldn't have to go against biological men when playing sports. Reeve and Cunningham were seen having an amicable conversation prior to the game, before the Lynx coach later emerged wearing the pro-trans t-shirt.
Wet boots ruining your mornings? This silent, fanless dryer gently dries boots, shoes, and gloves overnight while helping reduce damp odors, so your gear is ready when you are. Want to get the best verified deal and see full details? Visit grabdeal.us/4 right now.
That decision has led to outcry from a number of major sports personalities, including Smith, who tore into the Minnesota head coach on his YouTube talk show. In a 14-minute monologue on the matter, Smith said, she was seen wearing a Trans Kid Belong t-shirt. A Trans Kid Belong t-shirt on Sunday during the game, following the remarks from Sophie Cunningham. Smith has ripped into WNBA coach Cheryl Reeve in a scathing monologue. Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve wore a Trans Kids Belong t-shirt on the sidelines of her team's clash against Sophie Cunningham and the Indiana Fever on Sunday afternoon. And the thing that shocks me is, this is not a conversation about being anti-anything. This is a conversation about being pro-girls. Ladies and gentlemen, at some point in time, there has to be the return of common sense. This is not about looking at people who are trans and hating on them or wanting them denied their civil rights and civil liberties. Speaking directly about Reeve, he continued, "You are Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx. That is an irresponsible thing to do. You are a coach for a female basketball team. Do you not think that the females are being screwed over if they have to compete against an individual born as a male? You trying to tell me that a college player for the men's should transition to a woman and be allowed to play in the WNBA or on a collegiate level to a women's college program? What the hell are you talking about? Nobody said you can't transition from male to female. The issue here is competing against the women." That's what Sophie Cunningham is talking about. How are you, Cheryl Reeve, coming out in that t-shirt? No regard for the sponsors that may be put off by that. Cunningham faced boos on Sunday in Minneapolis, where she also took an elbow to the face. Sophie Cunningham, left, and Cheryl Reeve, right, have pre-game discussion on Sunday. A person holds a sign after comments made by Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham. It's putting yourself before the betterment of the whole league. Prior to tip-off on Sunday, Cunningham and Reeve were seen having a serious discussion, which the Lynx head coach later touched upon after the win. "I think it's great," Reeve said of the talk. "I think both of us understand that we have platforms, and we both talked about wanting to, more than anything, educate. There are some things that we have in common, and maybe some things you differ on, just like any issues. It was nice to be in person, for sure." Reeve stopped short of divulging their entire conversation in her post-game comments, but did speak before the game about her stance on the issue of transgender athletes in women's sports. "I come from a space of inclusion," said Reeve, who also serves as the Team USA coach. "The narrative that I think is problematic is to suggest that transgender athletes are the biggest problem in women's sports. There is a faction of people in our country that are making this a massive issue." The tension on the sidelines carried over to the streets outside Target Center, where demonstrations turned chaotic ahead of tip-off in Minneapolis.